Hello, a warm welcome to everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's talk here in China at the Interfiliere trade fair on redesigning fashion's future as the new normal. My name is Marina Chahboune. I'm a sustainability expert in the field of textile and apparel production and the founder of Indonesia-based sustainability consultancy Close Loop Fashion. So let's get started. In these past few months, we have seen massive changes globally, and today we will do a little deep dive into possible scenarios for the fashion industry to look like post-COVID, but also to identify new opportunities to take proactive steps and actions to ensure resilience in the future and to bring business operations back on track with an even stronger business concept based on sustainability and circular economy. So how could a new normal look like in the fashion industry? The textile industry has been identified as one of the most hardest hit industries during this time of the novel coronavirus outbreak. In the past few months, we have seen millions of textile workers being laid off from work, struggling to survive without financial support or social protection systems in their country. The impact of the crisis is especially strong on workers in the textile sector, who have always been facing vulnerable employment situations, and of which 80% are female workers, providing a substantial part of the household income. In some countries, the impact has reached the level of a humanitarian crisis, with migrant workers stuck or trying desperately to return home despite travel restrictions. The repercussions of this pandemic are being felt more strongly with every passing day, leaving textile supply chains in shock and uncertainty. Especially developing countries are facing an unprecedented health and economic crisis, with potentially extreme economic, social, and sustainable development consequences that may reverse decades of development progress. Thousands of factories and garment-producing countries are forced to close down their premises due to shortage of raw materials caused by supply chain disruptions, retail closure all over the globe, and mandatory factory closures required by government regulations. The impact of COVID-19 has caused a declining consumer demand for fashion goods and significant shift on production quantities and orders from global brands. Textile and apparel manufacturers are struggling for survival as orders are put on hold, cancelled, or rephased by brands and retailers, and payments for already produced goods being suspended. The crisis has exposed the vulnerability of the current setup of the fashion and textile industry, and industry leaders all over the globe have started to demand change to reset the fashion industry by catalyzing a new way of doing business, build back better, and to take the current state to accelerate an industry-wide transformation. We have probably all seen these famous before and after pictures showing blue skies and clear air of popular places in cities around the globe that usually are facing massive air pollution. Here we see a first window of opportunity for accelerating sustainability transitions in the aftermath of the COVID-19 pandemic. Seeing that declines in industrial activity and transportation are leading to the much needed air quality improvements to fight ever-increasing extreme weather conditions and global warming. The improvements of air quality will likely be temporary, but they have shown that it is possible to embed stricter regulations on emissions in no matter of time. In some major capitals, citizens are experiencing cleaner conditions for the first time in decades, which raises the question if activities that have caused these notable improvements could be maintained after COVID. Do we really need to commute to an office every day, or could we continue working more remotely? Could kids have a certain amount of permanent homeschooling days per week? Do we really need to travel abroad for leisure, or could we also enjoy some holidays in our country of residence? And yes, less consumption would also consequently lead to less industrial pollution. With heavy travel restrictions all over the globe, closed cargo ports, export stops, and factory closures, COVID-19 has also become a wake-up call on the shortcomings of globalization. Suddenly, import countries are facing the challenge of important goods not being delivered any longer, putting domestic production and sales on a standstill. The expansion of global value chains and the breaking up of production processes into a series of geographically separated steps was until recently seen as a win-win for both developed and developing countries. In the background of COVID-19, this setup of outsourced production processes have proven to be economically risky. The crisis has led us to question the logic of globalization based on a deindustrialization in the north and industrialization in the south. Companies and policymakers need to rethink the complexity and internationalization of their production supply chains and to re-evaluate the potential creation of full supply chain coverage within their own country in order to build local resilience and localized supply and production systems. Decisions should not only be made on which production location offers the lowest labor costs, but on which location makes most sense. For example, related to available raw materials, skills and expertise, and alignment to the local context. What we have seen in the past few months related to the textile industry manufacturing activity is that countries such as India and Indonesia, with full production supply chain coverage within their countries, have been less heavily impacted than countries like Bangladesh and Myanmar, which solely focus on the ready-made garment production steps. Supply disruptions have shown how important it is for the local industry setup to be independent from raw material imports. Many factories that still had orders and permissions to operate were unable to do so due to missing materials, fabrics, and accessories, which need to be imported from abroad. Especially the closure of China's factories, the largest producing country in the textile segment, in the beginning of the pandemic have led to massive supply chain disruptions right from the start. The industry now finally recognizes the need for sustainable change, which bears a great opportunity for embedding circular economy practices related to the reutilization of used materials. Reusing locally sourced, already existing materials is one of the great opportunities for the industry to accelerate to more resilient, stable material supply in the future. Especially developing countries, which are often big textile producing countries, but also consuming markets, so far have no real logistic and textile waste management systems in place for both pre and post-consumer waste. Production waste, as well as worn-out garments, are simply ending up on landfill, with them also the opportunity to access this valuable resource for further usage possibilities. With COVID-19 having highlighted this shortcoming, we will likely see implementation of smarter logistics systems, including reverse logistics for secondary materials and waste products, shifting the industry to provide itself with localized resources. This transition brings great opportunities for new employment options, as additional stakeholders, such as waste collectors, recyclers, take-back system initiatives, re-logistic providers, re-commerce, and so on, need to be added to the current supply chain setup in order to create circular structures. The crisis had made it more obvious than ever that the industry must finally figure out how to sustain itself. The low price model of the fashion industry is not including fair labor and environmental costs, and the industry's current linear supply chain setup, ever faster production cycles, the exploitation of workforce in low-wage countries, and a finance model which puts the main risk on manufacturer have spawned an unequal relationship with manufacturers' complete dependence on their customer brands. The coronavirus outbreak has also exposed the vulnerability of operation practices, such as the over-reliance on just-in-time production and delivery systems. Having a CSR agenda is not enough any longer. The industry needs new models of cost calculations that are including environmental and human costs based on living wages to ensure worker safety in times of crisis. We need to rethink our current business model by considering opportunities to create greater value and an interaction between products and services in order to minimize risk and to put business operations on more than just one leg. Targeted activities in the future need to embed customized, value-driven, sustainable business strategies in the core business operations to diversify the business setup, such as the development of new revenue streams, real cost price calculations, and reformation of the finance model. The expansion of existing product ranges, additional introduction of services, and addressing more than just one target group. Circular Economy has perfectly framed this in their last Circular Economy Gap report. I'm quoting them here as they stated, adopt a systemic perspective during the design process. We need to employ the right materials for appropriate lifetime in extended future use and optimal recovery. The way a product is designed can significantly impact the product-related environmental footprint throughout its entire life cycle. To transition from the current take, make, dispose product streams and to enable reuse and recycling applications for waste materials, products need to be designed already with their end of life in mind. Designers and product developers need to shift from conventional fashion creation to new approaches that design out waste, make effective use of scarce resources, and enable materials to re-enter the economy instead of ending up as waste. This gives room for fiber innovations. You might have joined my presentation at the last Interfiliere Shanghai Fair, where I have introduced new innovative fibers and materials beyond the traditional textile fibers such as cotton and polyester. Fibers which are made from biomaterials, recycling, or based on agricultural waste. But we also need to look into innovative design strategies such as upcycling, design for disassembly, and zero waste pattern making. Simply smart designs that might even come with multi-purpose or transformable properties. In the background of the pandemic, product design for comfort, shelter, and protection, and integrated safety features will see increasing demand. Many industry leaders have raised their voices in the past weeks demanding the fashion industry to finally go seasonless, or at least back to 2 seasons per year only. The UK brand Petit Plis is always a wonderful example to showcase perfectly how design for circularity and longevity could look like. The kids' clothes brand creates very smartly unique garments that grow with your child from month 9 up to the age of 4 by using a pleated material. The garments are made from monomaterials, enabling ease of repair and recycling at the end of user time. I highly recommend to follow them on that journey. With brands and manufacturers currently facing the challenge of having to deal with massive amounts of overstock, it makes sense to re-evaluate the current just-in-time production model by moving to on-demand-based production. I would like to introduce a very good example here as well. The Canadian denim brand Dua developed a new production model in response to COVID-19 and switched to a method that reconciles demand and supply to reduce waste and increase efficiency by launching a new on-demand model. The company presents a prototype of a product that customers can order as a discount during a 3-week campaign period. When a minimum order quantity is reached, the items are then manufactured and delivered to customers within 4 to 8 weeks' time. The COVID-19 situation is still in its early stages, and in many regions of the world, it is still continually evolving. But already today, the practice of social distancing has entered daily lifestyles in most countries around the globe in order to flatten the curve and to help spread out the impact on medical facilities. Some of the actions of social distancing include self-quarantining, avoiding large gatherings, working remotely from home, homeschooling, thanks to online education, and reducing travel, limiting most people to home-based activities. Many of these adjustments or limitations are in contradiction to our normal routines, such as going shopping. In some areas, such as China and Europe, retail has reopened its doors, but with health and safety restrictions in place, such as wearing a mask. The former consumer behavior is only slowly reviving, with many people not feeling comfortable to being exposed to potential risk by going out. This is challenging the traditional retail models to facilitate transformation towards the creation of a completely new shopping experience with focus on so-called contactless shopping. Some brands and retailers have come up with these past few months with innovative ideas, such as drive-through shopping service or private bookings for shopping appointments on-site in the store. I have added some examples here on the slide, including retailer John Lewis, who is now offering free one-to-one virtual appointments with fashion stylists, and also Dutch retailer Boucle Homme et Femme managed to reach almost 100% of its previous sales with the invention of a surprise bag. Customer provides some personal information, such as their size, brand preferences, and a picture of themselves, according to which the employees create a surprise bag of clothing for the customer and deliver it to the customer's doorstep. The following day, the bag gets picked up again with the remaining items that the customer does not want to keep. These new models not only support economic revival, but also accelerate a more sustainable consuming behavior. Customers receive an in-depth, custom-tailored service to find the right and most suitable garments for them. Responsible salespersons have the chance to provide detailed information on brands and materials, which creates a strong brand and product relation. Consumers who have the chance to try out new clothes at home for a day will likely make more solid decisions on what to keep, which reduces the number of returns. The crisis has also led to financial insecurities, with customers adopting a more careful shopping behavior, spending their money only on items that they really need. A good opportunity here for brands and retailers is to incorporate service-driven business opportunities related to circularity. Newly, as a truly good example, the brand comes from the parent company of Urban Outfitters and offers over 100 different brands as well as one-of-a-kind vintage pieces in a monthly subscription rental. Subscribers will receive a box of 6 items a month. If a rented item wants to be kept for good, it simply requires a discounted payment online. The brand uses reusable shipping materials and is investing in energy-efficient wet and dry cleaning technology. If a rented item wants to be kept for good, it simply requires a discounted payment online. The brand uses reusable shipping materials and is investing in energy-efficient wet and dry cleaning technology, as well as using environmentally friendly cleaning products. Subscription rental is a great opportunity for contactless shopping, the extension of a garment's life cycle, reduction of consumption, cost efficiency, and is leading to a more reflected and on-the-point shopping behavior, as consumers can really try the garment for a month before having to purchase it. Another great opportunity for brands and retailers to bond again with their clients, while at the same time doing good for the environment, is to offer services related to sustaining and preserving what already exists. This could include maintaining services such as clothes repair, redesign, redyeing, or initiating take-back strategies for the reusage of resources. Here on the slide are a selection of great examples that really bring the idea of a garment life cycle extension on the next level. Berlin-based brand Aluk, for example, offers classic shirts for him and her. As we all know, when wearing shirts, wear and tear appears first at the collar and cuffs. The brand has designed these parts of the shirt removable and selling the cuffs and collars separately for ease of replacement. This not only gives the customer the chance to wear the shirts much longer than usually, but also creates diversity with providing the option of replacing cuffs and collars in different colors. Famous luxury brand Hermès has created pop-up shops where customers can bring the brand's famous carré silk scarf for and over-dyeing. This way, there is no need to buy a new one. You can simply switch the used one into a new look. And I definitely would like to mention here the excellent service that Swedish denim brand Nudie Jeans has established by offering in-store repair services. Most of the so far mentioned accelerations for adopting more sustainable and circular practices to minimize risk in time of crisis and building future resilience can't be achieved alone. The key word here is collaboration. One of my favorite examples for creating a successful and beneficial stakeholder collaboration is the collaboration between the three companies Lenzing, Santoni, and Procalcado in order to develop a fully biodegradable shoe with joint expertise. Each has been contributing their skills and know-how in different fields of technology and materials to create the final outcome. Especially in circular economy, collaboration is of high importance. To create products for circularity, the whole supply chain process needs to be transparent and aligned with certain criteria, such as the usage of non-toxic chemicals only. Collaborations can achieve the needed transparency and capacity building here. It was only recently stated that half of the world population is now using social media. Many brands are currently massively relying on their e-commerce channels for sales and to reach potential customers to actually generate sales. Smaller brands that don't have online shops are using shopping features on Instagram and Facebook to promote their products. Digital technology has become more important than ever, but not only in terms of sales and to create a brand-consumer relation. Technology is also needed to be able to track and optimize resource use and strengthen connections between supply chain actors in the future. Since this conference has been transformed into a virtual event, please feel free to reach out for any questions you might have. I have been listing my contact data here, or otherwise, please feel free to get in touch with the wonderful team of Interfiliere, who will be glad to forward your requests. So, thank you very much for your attention and for joining today's event. I very much hope I was able to give you some inspirations and food for thought, and here was wishing you a wonderful day today at the Interfiliere Trade Fair, and I very much hope to meet you all again in person at the Interfiliere Shanghai Fair in September. Bye.